Welcome to The Power of the P, the podcast designed to help you become empowered in your truth, free of fear. I'm E.L. Brooks, your host, here to bring you expert advice and effective tools based on neuroscience to help you deal with all the stressors in life, relationships, and work. I'm here to keep you off that struggle bus through the power of the P. Are you ready? Then let's go. Welcome to The Power of the P, episode number 3. Thank you for joining as always. If you're not familiar with the show's format, it's like a Dear John life advice show, except for I'm EL. So it's Dear EL, where followers and subscribers send in questions of things that they're dealing and struggling with, and I'll pick one, sometimes two questions, and I'll give insight, provide some effective tools that are backed in neuroscience, and I'll offer one key takeaway at the end to log into your memory to help you become more resilient and emotionally stable. So today we have an email from Maggie, who's looking for ways to jumpstart her day. And Maggie, I have a morning routine that's going to rock your world. I've been using different variations of this for the last several years, and it's really changed my life. And to be honest, it's probably had the most impact on my life. As you may or may not know, I've been experiencing inner peace for several years, and a lot of that has to do with what I'm about to share today. Inner peace is a way of being moment to moment, which means that you have to work on it constantly. There's no destination. You don't reach inner peace and it's like, and all the work stops. No, it's working on yourself to ensure that your automatic responses are actually conscious responses, not unconscious reactions to false threats perceived by the ego. It's actually removing certain ego states. You'll learn when you take our courses that we need our adult ego. It's the only ego that's rooted in the here and now, and that allows us to be present and intentional, and that creates our drive. So inner peace is more like a skill that you work on daily. It's repetitive. Repetition is the mother of all skills. So for me, it's repetitive mind-body rituals that put my mind, body, and soul in harmony, in a homeostasis state, in my parasympathetic. And that allows me to view life through a lens of calm and clarity, not through a lens of stress and chaos. Remember, we don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. So, our key objective today is learning how to prime ourselves in the morning to win the day. So, let's get into Maggie's email. Maggie writes, I hope this email finds you well. I'm reaching out to you to get some advice regarding jumpstarting my morning to infuse them with more motivation and energy. Lately, I've been feeling a bit sluggish and unmotivated. I have a new job that I love, but I'm now required to be on location, so I'm having to wake up earlier to drive 50 minutes, and it's killing me. I recently heard you talk about starting your day off with successful tools to win the day, and I'm hoping you can share some of those tools and insights based on your experience and expertise. Thank you in advance, Maggie P. So I picked this letter because a lot of people are not familiar with how effort and energy work. They're connected. More importantly, what infuses or robs energy and effort. So as a result, people are not winning the day. They're setting themselves up to fail. This kind of builds off of episode 1, getting unstuck. It's all about focusing your attention and being intentional. Remember, control the mind and the body will follow. If you're intentional about your effort, you'll learn that you'll create the energy. To me, this gives meaning and clarity to the phrase, where your attention goes, energy flows. So when you intensify your attention, you intensify your energy. I concentrate on 4 scientifically proven areas to boost and maintain my energy through intentional effort. And that's mindfulness, exercise, diet and nutrition, sleep and silence. So in other words, I take my daily meds every morning to prime myself. So Maggie, one of the things as humans that we need to reprogram is our binary thinking around things being finite. As I mentioned, there is no destination. Everything is constant moving. Everything's in constant motion. I have inner peace, but if I don't work on that daily, I'm still human, which means that I'm still capable of slipping and experiencing some moments where I may act out of character. And when I look back throughout my experience, when I reflect back on those moments, I always had lower energy, I had a weaker mindset, I had no intention, had bad eating habits, and no tools and strategies to help me improve. And you'll learn that my energy and my effort were not in sync. There's actually an aligned connection to winning the day that you'll learn at the end during the key takeaway. There's a lot that we need to cover that will give more clarity to that aligned connection. So let's go. So my prime time is so important. My morning prime time sets my mind, body, and soul in the optimum window to prepare me for whatever life has in store for me that day. And this is how I win the day. Most of us, including myself way back in the day, we armor up for battle in a defeatist mindset, and this sets us up for failure. Priming, however, allows you to power up and go. It actually pulls you back to center and grounds you in a way that is calming and clear. So, what does priming mean? Well, the definition of priming is the act of making something ready, type of preparation, readying, the activity of putting or setting in order in advance of some act or purpose. So let's get right into it. So I still make adjustments to my priming rituals, and you will as well as a means to optimize. You have to test things and measure the results to see if the results are positive or negative. Plus, schedules and situations are always changing. Remember, change is constant. Again, nothing is finite. So I try to do things every quarter, that's every 3 months. And then I switch it up on purpose to keep me fresh and conscious. It's to ensure that I'm always intentional about my efforts. What you'll soon learn is the difference in accessing our energy. Most of our issues are around being unconscious and letting our subconscious run the day. There's a formula to this that I'll share again at the end during the key takeaway. And as a result of this formula, we're the walking dead. But we can always infuse life back into our mind, body, and soul by priming, by being intentional. So, to help you remember the purpose behind Prime, I created an acronym that means proven rituals that influence mindset and energy. The emphasis is on proven. I like to expose people to effective tools that are proven and or backed by neuroscience, things that have either worked for me or my clients. So I don't teach via theory. I only teach via ways of experiences. And that's what the BTDT stands for. Been there, done that. So I'm going to introduce you to my toolbox of tools that I pull from to Prime. What I tell everyone is that a good day always starts the night before. So what you want to do is go to bed at a decent hour to take advantage of what is known as the golden hours. So 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. is considered the golden hours. These are the hours where you can find silent solitude, all of the things that your mind and body need to reset, recharge, and resource to access clarity. These are the hours that should be free of distractions, no text messages, no social media. In fact, I know you've heard this 1,000 times, but it's true and it's proven. You shouldn't touch your phone for the first hours that you're awake. The only reason you should access your phone is to set timers. This is the time that you should be locked into a routine to prime to prepare yourself to power up and go. This is how you get ahead because the majority of the world is still asleep. So, say you wake up at 6 a.m. every day, ready to go with your day already planned and scheduled. You wake up and your time is already accounted for. Now, let's say that the average person wakes up at 9. You already know that the average person is not locked in intention. They're locked in on autopilot. So they're not being efficient. They're reacting because they're not planning or scheduling, right? So just in that very week, if you do this Monday through Friday, you've gained a 15-hour advantage of productivity. In a month, that's 60 hours. That's almost 3 days. And in a year, that's 720 hours or an additional 30 days. So you've just added an extra month of productivity to your calendar, to your life, and compounded over the years. This is how you make massive leaps in life. And that is the power of effort and energy. There are 10 areas to be intentional about that will reset, recharge, and resource you. This is how you jumpstart your morning and your life. These are the 10 areas that had the most impact on my life. And you'll hear me say it often, but I focus on empowerment, emotional intelligence, and more importantly, efficiency. So I believe that these 10 strategies will upgrade your life immediately as long as you apply them. They are guaranteed to improve every area of your life because they affect mind, body, and soul. So let's dive in. So number one, like I mentioned previously, the start of a good day happens the night before. Preparation is all about writing down your goals and objectives for the day the night before. And you should prioritize them in two quadrants of importance. The first one is urgent must do, and the second one is not urgent should do. And this helps you solve and clarify your problems. I always tell people, fail to plan, then plan to fail. But really, winning the day, you really need to know this important sequence. So the important sequence is talk, imagine, plan, and schedule. And this has everything to do with effort. So when we talk about things, it's a dream. That's our imagination or thought energy. When we envision it, it's exciting. And that's our hope, which creates a drive. When we plan it, it's possible. That's the opportunity. And then when we schedule it, it's real. And that's the goal. This is when the tire hits the pavement. And this allows you to take action. So imagine your day, plan it out, but more importantly, schedule it to make it real. When you schedule things, you have a higher probability of executing, especially when you free yourself of any distractions. We'll talk about time boxing shortly, but that's the best way to be organized and efficient, which improves productivity immensely. For me, I try to plan and schedule the hard problems first, which makes the rest of the day a lot easier, and it also strengthens my discipline muscles. There's Kitlin's Law, which is a problem-solving theory, and it states, if you write a problem down clearly, then the matter is halfway solved. And you'll hear me say this all the time. Concentrate on the problems and the problems become bigger. Concentrate on the solution and the solution becomes clearer. Number two is still on the night before. Number two is set your alarm on your phone. And this is key. Put it away from your bed. And if possible, put it in another room. I know there's some heavy sleepers, so this may not be a possibility. Like my son will sleep through a phone when it's ringing right next to his head. But if possible, put it in another room. And this does a few things. Number one, you avoid the blue light from the phone. Number two, you avoid any possible notifications. And number three, when the alarm goes off, it forces you to get out of bed. Then you avoid hitting the snooze button because once your body is vertical and you're moving, you're basically awake. And now you have a higher probability of getting on with your day because you're shaking off that sleeping feeling. And now you're ready to execute. Number three, your third strategy is so key. First thing to consume should be water with elements, according to Dr. Andrew Huberman, neuroscientist and Stanford professor. He recommends drinking salted water, adding sea salt to your water first thing in the morning. Now, I actually alternate. I do sea salt, I do limes on some days, I do lemons. But the key is to do something that is very pure. Huberman also says that you should delay your caffeine intake by 90 to 120 minutes, because this can enhance your energy and overall alertness because of the interaction between caffeine, adenosine, and cortisol. So even though I'm not a coffee drinker, I know on average that there's nearly 400 billion cups of coffees consumed in a single year around the world. So this is critical knowledge for all morning coffee drinkers. I first heard this from Dr. Gundry around caffeine blocking our natural signals that alert us when we're tired, thus keeping us awake because it blocks adenosine. So adenosine has a few functions, and one of them is it signals our bodies when it's time to rest and recover. When we sleep, the brain clears out adenosine, and then we wake up feeling fresh and alert. When we're awake, adenosine starts to rise again. So caffeine's dirty little trick or secret is that it blocks adenosine by competing with the same receptors. And this prevents adenosine from being able to signal you when you're feeling tired. So in actuality, you get a false sense of alertness. So when the caffeine in your system starts to wear off, the lingering adenosine will return in force, making you feel tired, which is why some people experience a crash. So delaying your caffeine intake by 90 to 120 minutes, your adenosine will naturally drop and the caffeine will be more effective. Next is cortisol, our stress hormone, and it plays a crucial role in managing our daily rhythm and alertness and sleepiness. When we immediately wake up, cortisol naturally spikes, signaling our bodies that it's time to go. Cortisol does a great job creating the alertness without the need for any external stimulation. Remember, our bodies are golden temples. We're literally walking miracles, so our bodies are capable of doing a lot. They say that everything we need is already inside of us. So consuming caffeine during this natural cortisol spike can diminish the effects of both the natural body's cortisol function and the effectiveness of the caffeine. So waiting until the cortisol goes down and your adenosine resets actually allows the caffeine to be more effective. So the fourth strategy is something I've recently been incorporating. So it's customary for all of us to look back and reflect on the times that we felt healthy and full of energy. And for me, it was when I was playing basketball at Venice Beach during the summertime. I felt like I was actually plugging into a charging station because the sun and the vitamin D just energized my soul. So when I heard this next strategy, it made so much sense to me because I had already experienced it without knowing the real benefits. Needless to say, it's back in my life, but now in a morning routine. So strategy number 4 is get natural sunlight within the first 3 hours upon waking. Andrew Huberman talks about the vital link between the early morning sunlight and our mental and physical well being. Vitamin D is extremely powerful, and most humans are deficient in this area. So, going for a morning walk, getting that natural sun energy in nature, which puts fresh air in your lungs, increases your heart rate and muscle contraction, which is great for your overall health and wellness. Now, for me, I incorporate audiobooks, podcasts, YouTube videos during this time that opens up my mind and feeds it with helpful, positive information that I can take action on. Plus, for those who are exercise averse, walking is low intensity and is a proven tool for fat loss. Walking also is a great way to improve heart and mind coherency, which leads to a healthier mind body connection. Strategy number 5 is intermittent fasting. There are crazy benefits to fasting. First off, when you start fasting, your stored body fat becomes a great source of energy. This means that you'll be able to burn that fat, which will almost guarantee that you'll lose weight. And here are a few more great benefits that you may not be aware of. Number 1, it improves human growth hormone levels for fat loss and muscle gain. Number 2 is improves cellular repair for body recovery. 3, it improves insulin sensitivity. 4, gene expressions. I have to tell you this, when I started fasting, I started looking better. And I know what you're saying, how can you improve on this? But I did. And I laugh because my kids say that I'm corny because I laugh at my own jokes. But Huberman says that science has proven that fasting can positively impact obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular health, age-related chronic diseases, and improve mood and cognitive function. So when you combine that with the vitamin D from the natural light, you get less liver disease and improved metabolic markers and less body fat. How about that? Number 6, the 6th strategy is fasted training, weight training while fasting. And this puts your body in a caloric deficit to burn more body fat. And this is how you improve on your body mass index, your BMI. So too often I see people doing cardio workouts. And I have to tell you, cardio only burns calories, not fat. So skip the meal and weight train, and you'll see better results. This, ironically, for me, has helped me improve both my mental and my physical strengths. I'm actually experiencing more energy and strength and clearer thoughts. That's because my body's not working hard on digesting food. Next is strategy number 7, and that is the quality of your first meal, especially the quality of your first meal to fuel you up after a training session. One of the hardest things that our body does is digest food. It puts the most work towards that, which pulls and depletes energy. Now, we've all experienced some sort of celebratory dinner where we've all eaten way too much, right? And we've experienced the itis, right? So what is that really all about? What is our body doing? It's actually breaking down, pulling all of your energy and resources to digest that food. And it's the reason why you just really fall into like a food coma. You can't move because all your energy is being put towards digesting your food. What we're really talking about is vital force conservation, energy conservation. And it's the answer to almost all of our energy and effort problems. One of the best ways to protect and conserve energy is by monitoring what you consume visually, audibly, and especially orally. Make sure what's going into your system is not polluting, corrupting, or weighing you down. So I have 3 steps to monitoring my food intake. Number 1 is I get rid of all of the bad stuff, the preservatives, the packaged and canned goods. Number 2 is I make sure what I consume is clean and quality. So I buy organic, not regular. I always look for like the 9 to be the first digit on the barcodes, and I stay away from all the 4s, which have more chemicals in them, and especially in the number 8s, because those are genetically modified. Now, I always encourage people to implement the 80-20 rule, which is number 3. I believe that you don't need to be so rigid about your food intake. Moderation is good for the soul. So I follow a strict routine Monday through Friday, which allows me to enjoy the weekends, right? I don't monitor myself at all on the weekends. That way, I'm free flowing, not in my head feeling guilty because that burger or that slice of pizza looked and smelled so good, right? And usually when you're disciplined, those foods start to lose their power over you anyway. But when you forbid them and you forbid yourself to eat them, that's usually when you have some binge type of episode, right? You find yourself holding like a gallon tub of double fudge, chocolate chip, mocha, caramel ice cream, and a half dozen Krispy Kreme donuts that you've deleted out of your diet for 8 months, but your mental levee finally broke because you couldn't resist the urge. And now you feel yourself feeling guilty and all of that other stuff is just bad, right? The irony is that you actually do need to shock your body and keep it guessing. So the weekend for me is my time to keep my body on its toes so it doesn't get so smart that it starts storing fat because it's learned my routine. So strategy number 8 is sauna treatments. Doesn't matter which type, infrared, wood burning, electric, they all have great benefits. So I do sauna treatments 2 to 3 times a week after my workouts. And the top 3 benefits for me that sauna treatments gives is they're known to reduce C-reactive proteins, a leading biomarker of systemic inflammation in your system. And if you know anything, inflammation is the leading cause of all dis-ease within your body. Number 2, it's shown to reduce toxins. And for those people that are exercise averse, you at least need to do a sauna treatment because you need to sweat out all the toxins in your body that are just not from food consumption. Unfortunately, it's air quality. It's even fabric softeners and other ingredients that get into our bloodstream. So it's important to flush those things out. Number 3 is scientifically proven to release muscle tension and stress. Yes, sauna treatments are a great source for stress relief. It relaxes blood vessels, which is essential for increasing blood flow, which can improve your cardiovascular health. Our 9th strategy is cold showers. This is a natural energy booster because of the natural regenerative properties. I'll list 3 and give you a bonus benefit as well. So number 1, it relaxes your muscles. Number 2, it assists in muscle repairs after a tough workout. Number 3, it boosts your blood circulation. And the 4th benefit I like to say is that it improves your courage, knowing that you're able to do something that frightens you initially, but pushing through your fears is always rewarding and it encourages you for the day. So the 10th strategy is time boxing. So I saved this one for last, so I want to spend a little bit more time on it. And I also wanted people to understand the importance around time boxing. The majority of people are trying to execute from a to-do list. No judgment. I used to only use this method as well until I understood the psychology and the drive behind talk, imagine, plan, schedule that leads to higher execution. So to-do list is like the imagine part. They can be considered a wish list, things that I'd like to do today, right? The problem with that is, as I mentioned, we're upgrading and downgrading in real time. And so when you typically implement a to-do list, there are just things that are just not going to be accomplished, mainly because of the psychology behind not scheduling it, which makes it real and actionable. That's the science behind making it a to-do, right? So when we don't do what's on our to-do list, we can start to form negative opinions of ourselves. But more importantly, study shows that our productivity can be affected in a negative way. To-do lists have no constraints. So if you're measuring your productivity off of a tool that has no constraints, it's a broken technique. What we're striving for is discipline. Maggie, what you're looking for is to wake up, get into that mental state, that mental window, and just go, right? No overthinking, no overwhelming feeling that's holding you back. You're almost like a machine, and you can get there. Everyone listening can get there through the right effort and energy combination. So the metric that we should be measuring is, did I do what I said I was going to do to the best of my ability during the time I said I was going to do it? And did I do it without distraction? Not accomplishing things on your to-do list historically has been shown to lower confidence and self-image. No one that I've ever met, including myself, has consistently finished everything on a to-do list. And that is because if you don't schedule it, you don't make it real. So when you're constantly telling yourself daily, weekly, monthly, and so on, that I didn't get to that. I didn't get to that either. I suck. I have no discipline or follow through. Or worse, you associate your lack of accomplishing your to-dos with your overall image, and you start calling yourself a loser. It kills your productivity. You start to think that you're broken when in essence, you're just using a broken technique. Again, we need to measure ourselves based on our ability to do what we say we're going to do at the time we say we're going to do it, free of distraction. So remember at the top of the show, I said it's all about focusing your attention and being intentional. Well, this next technique is just that. So, again, strategy number 10 is called the Pomodoro technique. It's time boxing. And this is something that improved my productivity immensely, especially during and after the pandemic. You hear me say this over and over again. Our biggest addiction is distraction. We're not able to really focus without being distracted. And time boxing allows you to attack, be focused, and more importantly, create an environment where you're uninterrupted to effectively tackle your selected task and to dos. And this makes you indistractable. So the key is no phone, no internet. It's total uninterrupted focus. Only use your computer if you're doing research or if the task at hand requires it. Now, obviously, if you're a coder or if you're an editor, these rules don't apply. But the objective is to create a space where there's no distractions, right? So I even set time aside to check my emails, social media, and text messages to be even more efficient. And like I mentioned before, I focus on empowerment, emotional intelligence, and efficiency. So I'm always looking and learning ways to improve on all three because all three feed my soul. So one of the things as I write this that I can do to even improve my efficiency is to purchase a timer. That way my phone can actually be in another room, ensuring that I don't have access to it, right? Therefore, I'm not like tempted to pick it up and be distracted. But I'm also OCD and I'm a minimalist. So I'm still outweighing the pros and cons. So with this technique, there are traditional sessions. There's a 25-minute on, 5-minute off, and there's a 50-minute on and a 10-minute off. I personally do a 47-minute on and 11-minute off version because my basketball number just happened to be number 11. So I'm partial to that. I personally don't recommend doing the 25-minute version because studies have shown that it takes your brain about 20 to 23 minutes to gain focus after being distracted. This means that you're getting into flow around the 20-minute mark, which means that your productivity is hitting a stride. So if you're using the 25-minute on version or the 25-minute sprint, you'd be left with only 5 minutes of clear quality focused effort. I also don't recommend doing more than a 90-minute session because the brain starts to burn out after 2 hours of concentrated work. If you recall, if you went to college, those nights that you pulled all-nighters, right? And you were trying to finish that report, and then you would check the next day and you would see all types of typos and grammatical errors. That's because our brains started to melt down, but we just kept pushing through. That's not being effective or efficient, which is why we need breaks because the brain needs to rest and reset. So the breaks are very important because we need to stand, stretch, and move around. Sitting is the new cigarette. So to avoid being sedentary, we need to be intentional about standing and moving throughout the day, especially with a lot of people more and more that are working from home. Sitting too much is proven to be the cause of a lot of body and mental issues. So it's important to break up your sessions with designed breaks that are intentionally meant for you to move, stretch, and hydrate. Time boxing is a proven way to be both effective and efficient. And it's the best way, in my opinion, to manage your time so that you can actually start to feel like you're in control of your time. And this is how you become empowered. So how do we incorporate all of this, right? First of all, you need to figure out your overall day. What does it look like? Some implement what is called a 16-8 routine. That is 16 hours of available time boxing plus 8 hours of fasting plus 8 hours of sleep. And I say you get 8, you'll always feel great. 16-8 method, that's actually optimum. And to be honest, I'm not there yet. I'm more of a 17-7 or 18-6. But since I'm answering Maggie's question, it's actually getting me to be intentional about improving my fasting and my sleep numbers. Now, when you zoom out and you look at having a minimum of 16 hours of available time, taking into consideration that 8 hours of that is typically associated to work, this helps you better organize and prioritize all of your time, your work, your meals, your prep time, your drive time, and more importantly, your prime time. Now, since my favorite number is 11, I can't leave you with just 10 strategies, right? I need to give you one more. I need to give you a bonus one, and it's a big one. Stress is an energy zapper. Stress depletes and robs our energy. And one of the best ways to claw back that energy is to control your breathing. So, strategy number 11 is breath work. Breath work has numerous benefits, but the three we'll focus on today are it helps relieve anxiety and depression. Number 2, helps improve your mood. And number 3, it helps improve your focus. Remember at the top of the show, I talked about it's all about focusing your attention and being intentional, right? Control the mind and the body will follow. If you're intentional about your effort, you'll create the energy. Where your attention goes, energy flows. So the key takeaway is, first of all, let me tell you this quick little story, and then we'll get to the key takeaway. I recently did a 45-minute spin class, and I'd been away from doing this for a few months, but I had a baseline to measure against, right? When I was consistent, I was averaging about 16 miles in that class. And on my day that I came back, I did 14 miles, and I happened to look at the person next to me, and they did 11. Now, I mentioned before that I was averaging 16 miles, but the day that I came back, I did 14, and the person next to me did 11. So, what's the X factor? It's the same 45-minute class, but different results. We all get access to the same account that deposits 86,400 seconds into it daily. The difference comes down to how we spend it. So if we all have access to the same account, what are the factors that impact the different results? Do you give up? Well, I'll tell you. It's effort and energy. Effort is related to action. That's your intentions. When I'm intentional about my workouts and actions improve. Effort is a conscious thought process. You become present, which allows you to draw from your vital source of energy. The two are actually connected. So when we tell ourselves to finish strong, if you were to zoom out and look at that from a neurological signaling, you'd find that you're consciously telling yourself to dig deep, hit that boost button that gives you more energy, and your energy responds. So energy is related to willpower. What you're putting your energy into, the effort controls your attention to be intentional, where you place or create your energy. So it's how we play with these two X factors that allows us to seize the day. And we're already utilizing them in our everyday lives. We just need to bring awareness to which combinations get us the results that we're looking for and which combinations are the ones that we need to overcome. So the first combination is low effort, low energy. This is a state where you're eating, you're brushing your teeth, you're deciding which show to watch, right? These are the things that are automatic to us, and this should be considered our autopilot zone. Next are the two that we actually need to overcome. Next combination is high effort, low energy. This is where you're trying to overcome bad habits. The high effort is the conscious thought that says, get off that couch. You know you need to do the report, right? Stop eating those chips. That's sabotaging your weight loss plans. This should be considered our distraction procrastination zone that we all need to overcome and improve. So this is where you are, Maggie, right? You have a conscious effort to improve on your morning routine, but you have low energy, which is preventing you from being able to figure out how to execute. You may be indulging in some habits that may be robbing you of your energy, keeping that energy low, which keeps you distracted. Again, our number one addiction is distraction. We're all going down rabbit holes, right? But this is where all of those strategies that I just mentioned can help you break this combination. This is the combination we'd like to eliminate, which leaves us with the last two combinations, one more bad and one that is the holy grail. Next is low effort, high energy. And this, unfortunately, is where we tend to spend most of our time. It's the comfort of the familiar suck. It's the life of the quiet desperation. You're busy with everything that's distracting and keeping you away from doing the things that you really want to do. In a previous episode, we talked about habits that bring us very low return on investments, very low ROIs. This is what that would look like if it was a formula. This should be considered our stress and overwhelm zone. We believe that there's not enough time, not enough money, not enough energy because we're so distracted and focused on all of our problems. We're so distracted that we don't have the capacity to focus on what we want, which leaves us with the final combination, the Holy Grail. And this kind of encompasses our first three episodes, getting unstuck, finding yourself, and jump-starting your day. The Holy Grail is high energy, high effort. This is where we all want to be, where you're encouraging yourself to perform at your best, spending your time on activities that you really care about. Paradoxically, this is actually how you generate more energy. You're living your true life, and the energy that you're putting into something is being returned tenfold. This is the realm of deep satisfaction and joy. Remember last episode, we talked about the science to satisfaction leads to the art of living. If that were a formula, it would be high effort and high energy. And this, Maggie, should be considered your prime time zone. Again, I prime by taking my daily meds. And again, that is proven rituals to influence mindset and energy. Priming in the morning helps you set a productive and empowering tone for the day. It helps you regulate your energy to master your emotions and emotional state. With consistent practice, this allows you to eventually change your mindset and your emotional state, which allows you to start to breathe and respond and no longer get overwhelmed, triggered, and reactive. And this is really good stuff to know. Like I said, these 11 strategies have probably had the biggest impact on my life. It's good knowledge, but remember, knowledge without action is useless. So go out there and act on it now. Get into your prime time zone. Now you know. One love. Today's episode was sponsored by Help to Love, a platform to open your mind, achieve mental agility, and integrate into the person that you're meant to be. With a wealth of resources and expert advice at your fingertips, Help to Love makes prioritizing your mental well-being easier than ever. It's a non-judgmental approach to mental wellness to help you design that 10x life you deserve. Sign up today at www.helptolove.com. Join the thousands of users who have already discovered the transformative power. Register for the free webinar that will open your mind and plant seeds for your ultimate breakthrough. If you felt this episode was helpful and insightful, please like, share, and subscribe so that you'll be notified of all of our upcoming content and special announcements. I'm E.O. Brooks, your host. As always, I thank you for your support and especially your time. One love.